Hey, what is up, everybody? What is up? I hope you guys are doing well today. So I have today planned the engineering mock interview with Struggle Security or Gabe A. If you guys do not know, let me see. I'm going to send him a ping right quick, so that way we can go ahead and get things started. Give me a 1 in the chat if you're doing well today. Let's see. Yeah, we got Kareen up in the building. Let me make sure I can pop up the chat right quick before we get everything started. So we got Kareen, who has won the #1 spot. She says, "You're already late for your interview." So I want to give you the #1 spot right quick because you are the first message I saw in the chat. Coming for that #1 spot. All right, man. Thank you so much, Kareen, for tuning in. And yeah, I am trying to right now. I'm just waiting on Gabe. I sent him a message earlier, but just want to make sure we're still on. Von Dale Garrett, thank you for tuning in as well. It says, what up? How is everything going today? Everything's going well today. Hope you're doing well. Okay. So let's see. Let me put a ping in the chat right quick. Make sure everything is good. Let's see. We got some ones in the chat. I think everybody doing pretty well. All right. So I wanted to do this mock interview to show guys, to show people how to go about doing these engineering interviews. And I have a list of some of the top interviews for data engineers, and I'm going to share that with you guys in 1 second. Let me turn that off. Let's see. So here are the top 80 data engineering interview questions that I found online. And we're just kind of going to go through them real quickly and give Gabe some more time to tune in. So here we go. All right, so let's talk about some of the top 80 plus data engineer interview questions and answers. Okay, some of the things that you may encounter in this type of an interview is going to be asking you some technical questions, behavioral questions, and also there are going to be some more questions relating to a person's experience. And me personally, I tend to like the questions relating around somebody's experience. So if somebody asks you a question of, tell me about a time when you were to use data as one of your projects or one of your tasks, then you would go ahead and give them a pretty much like a detailed list of the tasks that you actually had to work on. So let's go through a few of these while I have you guys over here, it says, what is data engineering? And then, as you can see, that isn't a question that I may see in an actual interview. It is a good question, but it's not one of those questions that you will see in the interview. You'll see more so questions relating to SQL in this case, or they may ask about a project, or one of the things that you did not like about a particular project. One of those frustrations that you may have. So this question is, what is data engineering? And data engineering has a plethora of different duties that you may have. Primarily what I like to say is that data engineering is moving data from one place to the other. Okay. So you may get asked a question of, okay, well, how do you what are some of the tasks that you may have as a data engineer? Well, one of the biggest tasks is data modeling, or data like system design. You may have to create you might have to create like a database, or you might have to create like a schema. And what I mean by that is, a schema is pretty much how the structure of a database is, or a table is. So you may have a database that has a table for employees, and then for each employee, the schema will have particular questions about a particular person or employee. So you may have their employee ID. You may have their where they are working out of, like the location they work out of. You may have some information about their pay rate. There's a lot of different things that you may have for that schema. So, and then data modeling is the ingest of different information, and then you'll have the taking in new information from a third party company, or from your internal company, through surveys or dashboards, or different APIs or application programming interfaces. And then after you get that information, you'll go and you'll transform it based off of the business requirements, and then you'll deliver it to somebody, whether it be the data science team, whether it is the business for their dashboards, or maybe other third-party companies as well that may use your data. So all of that is what a data engineer may do in a more technical sense. Why did you choose a career in data engineering? This is also another question that you don't really tend to see in a lot of interviews. Maybe in entry level positions, you may see something like this of, why did you choose it? I always say the reason why I chose it is because of my dad. My dad got me into engineering and computer science. So essentially what he told me is, I told my dad I wanted to be an artist. And when I told him that, he said, well, artists don't make any money. And he was into computers. He worked for Fulton County Police Department and in their IT department a lot of the time. So he was like their go-to IT guy. And I wanted to do something in IT like my dad. And then that's how I got into computer science at Georgia State University, and then went on to get a role as a data engineer. That is the goal. That's the main reason as to why I chose this career. And as you can see, you have this is a more technical type of question, where it says, how does a data warehouse differ from an operational database? And there's a lot of different or there's a lot of differences between the two. So a data warehouse, such as like a Google Cloud BigQuery, or you may see like the Azure component, or a AWS, and all of them have similar use cases. Essentially, they all have some sort of data warehouse, right? And you also see operational databases. And as you can see here, talking about the operational databases first, it says here you have the delete, insert, and update queries within an operational database. And then for a data warehouse, it's more so tailored towards analysis, right? So with that, you may go in there into BigQuery and you have some sort of ad hoc query that you want to create for your business analysts to then go to the business. You already have that information there in the database. You go and you query it in your data warehouse, and then provide it via a Excel, CSV, or JSON file, and then go and provide that to them. So that is one of the differences. But then also for the operational databases, you can, as it says here, the delete SQL statements, such as these operations. What you're going to be doing is manipulating. These are DML statements here. So data manipulation language is what it exactly is. So DML statements that you'll have, such as the delete. So you can delete particular records within a database, insert new ones, and update already existing ones. And you can also do that with a data warehouse as well. You can do that within a BigQuery, and then be able to you can delete particular rows within a BigQuery table. You can insert new ones, and you can update them as well. This is something that you'll use on a almost daily basis for certain jobs or projects that you'll work on. All right, so then here we go. This is another question. This is the question that you may encounter between what do args and KW args mean. So this is a Python question here. As a data engineer, you need to understand SQL, but you also need to understand a programming language such as Python. So in Python, you have args, which is args, and KW args, which are for your functions. In this, it is for an unordered and an ordered parameters that you may put in place for a function. So let's say, hold on, I think I see. So I see Gabe up in the chat. He said he's going to be on in about 10 minutes. That's cool. It's cool with me. I'll just keep going through some of these questions to help the people out with understanding what you may encounter in an interview. So that is okay. Thank you, Gabe, for tuning in. Let me give a shout out to all the other people in the chat as well. Thank you so much, Atonement, for tuning in. Thank you, Wally. Salute to you. We got Justin Williams. Justin Williams says, we got a data engineer role in my company that's been open for a few months, paying like 120 to 180K annually. Made me want to apply as an entry-level cybersecurity analyst. And then he says he learned MySQL in college. So I think that's really good. I'm glad that you also put up the salary of a data engineer, because now we can see like kind of how much a data engineer will make. I don't know if it is an entry level data engineer per se, or if this is a data engineer with some intermediate level or a lead level. Because when you get up to like 180, that is kind of like the senior level of a data engineer, from what I've seen. But it goes in many different levels. So let's see. We also have, and then when I read your statement as well, it said it's been open for a few months. Usually, when I'm applying for jobs, I would look at only the jobs that have been open for 1 week. So within that week, a job should have already started interviewing people. And actually, let me just share myself right quick. So a job should have already started interviewing people by the first week. And then if they have not already started their process or already being about ready, like in between some interviews or something like that, something may be up with a job that is open for several months. The reason why I say that is because if nobody has gotten that job since then, within several months, that means, well, it means a few things. One of the things that comes to my mind is that the job is already filled, and then the recruiter just didn't close it. So that's one thing. The second thing I can think of is that they want people to apply for the job, so that way they can go and get people's information. So that way, like, there's no job that's really open right now. Like, they don't really need a person. What I'm thinking is that they are trying to get more people on their email list, so that way when something else does come up, they have the other people's resumes and things of that nature. And then also another reason why it could be open for that long is that it could be filled already, because somebody internally is making a promotion or a career switch into that role. But because companies are required to post the role, they have to post it to these job boards. And even though they already know who they want, they will still put it up there for people. So that is essentially what I'm thinking with that role. Okay. So let's see. We have Professor Black Ops. Shout out to you. Thank you for tuning in. He says, salute. I do 30 days on my search. Now, 30 days, okay, that it's kind of like when they get to 30 days, it's very slow for them to fill that role. So if you see something like, hey, I see a position and it's open for 30 days, something like that means that they've already started interviewing some people and things aren't really working out. They still haven't found the right person. That's what it seems like to me. 30 days is kind of a long time because especially in this market, there are so many layoffs and so many people applying for jobs. I saw a job yesterday and I saw that it was 100+ people, and that was just on LinkedIn alone, that applied for a job as a data engineer. So the job was a data engineer. They had 100 people already apply for the job, and it was just opened that day. It was open that day. So they already have 100 candidates. No one person can go through 100 candidates with like setting up time and emailing and getting responses. But that's only on LinkedIn. There are plenty of other job boards, and they'll use a tool like this. This is a tool that they'll use for the companies to post them to the job boards. They'll use this. It is called Logic Melon. This is just one of the tools. And as you can see, the multi-posting So this is what some companies will use to post to many different job boards, such as a LinkedIn, Indeed, Monster.com, um, Zapier. There's so many of them that you can Dice.com. So yeah, that is essentially what you want. What companies will use. So, and just like I said earlier, they have to post it on many different job boards, even if they already know who's going to get the job. So essentially, they may be wasting your time. Like when you reach out to a recruiter and you don't hear back or anything like that, they may be just wasting your time because they have to put it out there. But what they do is they keep a track of it. They keep sending you emails saying, "Hey, there's a job open finally, where that meets the criteria that you were looking for at our company," and then you can then apply again. But what I would suggest is try and find somebody to get you a reference. I think that is to me, that is the most effective way of finding a job. Okay. So, let's see. So, I have, give me 1 second, guys. Let me see something right quick. I think I have Gabe up in the back. Hold on 1 second. Let me start my virtual camera. And Gabe, are you able to hear me? I can't hear you yet.
Yes. I can hear you. Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, how are you doing?
Good. Hold on. Yep. Can you hear me well?
I can.
Okay, sweet. What's this
Yes.
touch-up thing that Zoom does? It look like it touches up your appearance or something.
You talking about me
Looks
or did it do you?
Zoom. Zoom.
Oh.
I look much older than what the Zoom is making me
Ah.
look right now. No worries. I'm chilling. But happy to be here though, nonetheless.
Yes, I'm glad to have you here, man.
Yeah, man.
I was talking with you the other day, and let me
Hmm.
actually. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen
Okay.
so that way people can see you. Where is it? All right, can you see me?
Okay. I can see you. Yeah.
All right, so I should be at like the bottom right for you.
Yep.
All right, and I'm trying to make sure I can see the chat right quick. Let me go through the chat right quick before we get anything started. But let
Yeah.
me ask you this, Gabe, everything going well for you today?
Man, it's just going right now. I mean, it's family, it's work, YouTube, everything kind of just is combining to make this like perfect storm of busyness and stress, but all good stuff though. So yeah, everything's going good. It's just a lot of good stuff. So yeah, man.
Yeah, give me 1 second. I'm sorry, Gabe.
Hmm. Can you hear me?
My Yeah, I can hear you, but I
Yeah.
need. Can you run it right quick for me? I'm
Okay.
sorry, I had to take a quick call.
Let's give a little intro about what we were talking about.
Yes, I'll be right back.
Okay, cool. Okay. All right, I'm taking it over. This is not my show. This is not Gay Bay. This is Struggle Security Show, right? And mentioning Struggle Security, that's actually my YouTube channel. As you see, that is tagged into the title of this video. And if you guys are interested, feel free to go over there and subscribe. I cover cybersecurity content where my whole tagline is that we're normalizing struggling in cybersecurity. And that at the end of every video, I'll try to say, hey, now hopefully we have alleviated one of your struggles. So that's kind of a little bit of my background. I have a wealth of experience in cybersecurity, been in cybersecurity for years now. Man, 10 plus years. And I'm now a consulting manager in cybersecurity for a large technology consulting firm. And I'm having fun doing it. It's very busy. It's very tumultuous at times. It's kind of up and down here and there. It's not always clear cut as it concerns what everything needs to be, but I would describe it as a beautiful mess because I get a lot of experiences in a lot of different areas within cybersecurity for many different industries, whether I mean, I'm doing something in fintech where I never have done before. I have a background in electrical engineering and nuclear engineering, and somehow I find myself doing an engagement for a financial institution. Very new for me, but cool. We'll roll with the punches. Um, little background about this. So B2B was speaking about interviewing for particular roles within tech. And because I'm a hiring manager, right? I interview individuals from time to time for roles in cybersecurity. He thought it would be a very good idea to have me on and for me and him to have some discussion about kind of just what the interview processes are and what all of kind of some of the questions that will come from the hiring manager. Because many times you can hear a lot about tech, right? You can hear a lot about tech where people will be like, hey, there's all these tech layoffs, right? There's nothing happening in tech. It's not a good field to get in anymore. Nobody's doing remote. Nobody's doing anything. But I think the reality of it is that people can still get in tech in 2024, even in the midst of all of these big tech organization layoffs. So we wanted to kind of navigate some of that content as we were having our discussion, and that's kind of like an intro to what this whole thing is. So yeah,
Yes,
and like we get some good feedback too. Kareem says that she loves the idea. So yeah,
yes,
thank you.
yeah. Thank
It looks
you.
like you're back. Yeah, man.
Yeah. So I just had to make a I had to take a quick call.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah. So I have let me go through the chat right quick.
Hmm.
Say what's up to everybody. Justin Williams earlier was saying I was banking on the fact that it's been open for months. They may be kind of desperate after that time, all of that time, and you know it's easy. I think in this case, it's easy for companies to look desperate, even if they aren't.
Yeah.
Just just because a job is open for that long period of time, for several months, like there may be it may be hard for them to fill a role for a particular reason, or they just never closed it, or it's already
Yeah.
filled. So
That kind of when a job is open for so long, it kind of gives me red flags a little bit. It
yeah,
kind of means that at times it can be a very picky hiring manager who is so specific and so picky. They want the perfect candidate in the perfect role, the perfect person to fit into that perfect whatever environment that they're trying to create. So roles that's been open for a long time, I can be a bit more red flaggish about.
mm. Yes, I agree. And Corrine said the same thing, that she's leery of jobs is open for over 30
Okay.
days.
Yeah.
Um, Professor Black Ops says half of the jobs are already filled. They have to post jobs to the outside sometimes.
Hmm. Yeah.
Very true.
That's a fact.
A lot of the jobs are, what do you call them? Like, they already filled by
Hmm.
internal candidates, and they're backdoor jobs. That's what I heard with the statement. Kareem says,
Pause.
I hate when they do those fake job posts when they're already have somebody for the position, and they
Hmm.
waste people's time interviewing them. You got Ramil up in the chat. He says, I got my CompTIA ITF
Okay.
plus and still can't find a job for 3 years. So
CompTIA ITF.
I never
What's
heard of the
ITF?
ITF before.
Oh, it's the IT fundamentals class. So that sounds like I have not even heard of that cert before. I know CompTIA offers a wide range of certifications, but ITF seems like a very foundational type of certification. So
Yeah,
maybe job posters aren't really looking for that certification. I've been hearing more of A plus, Network plus, and Security plus for
right.
more of those entry level roles, and that might be some of the issue there. But I
Yeah.
also would want to know like where has he been going to look for jobs, or has he been networking?
Hmm. I think
It's,
what's going
yeah.
on too is
Hmm.
I know people right now who have
Hmm.
certifications, went to boot camps, hadn't found a job in over 2 years,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's really bad to see those kinds of things.
Hmm.
The only way that I can see somebody who is in that position getting the actual job is by increasing their network.
Yeah.
Just like how
Yeah.
Professor Black Ops said half of the jobs are already filled. because they already know who's in mind. I would say go and meet new people, go to these events.
Mm-hmm.
We actually just talked about a different event, which is which had some weird restrictions.
Oh, the red pill one. The red pill prerequisite to learning about tech. Yeah,
Right.
that one. Yep.
Right. So we talked about that one, but for a lot of the tech events, they do help you with meeting people already in the industry, so that way you can grow your network. You don't want to be siloed off and have an echo chamber. You want to make sure that you have as many people on your LinkedIn as you possibly can, so that way you get the most opportunity to get somewhere. You can get that position if somebody's like, oh, I really like him. I see him all the time at different events. He's really really in the industry, or he's really interested in the industry, and then a position opened up several months down the line, and you get that position.
And you brought up a good point about LinkedIn, right? LinkedIn is a place where a lot of tech professionals exist. They are there. So if you have a LinkedIn presence where you're explaining different things that you've been doing, different certifications that you've been working on, different tech projects that you've been doing. Hey, I built a home lab. These are my specifications if anybody is interested. You get more eyes on you. You get more eyes on you when you connect with professionals in a professional environment. But it can be difficult if you're kind of trying to go it alone.
Right. Yeah. He said he was just playing. He said he was just
he said
playing.
He was playing. All right. Listen. Hey,
I appreciate.
We here for it. Mm-hmm.
All right. So that's all that's pretty much all of the comments, Gabe. So I will turn it over to you.
Man,
if you have any questions for me, okay, officially go ahead and start the interview whenever you're ready.
So let's preface it, right? So all right, audience, all right. B2B was me, and I was a little bit leery about it because he sent me so much information. So I hope you don't mind me sharing. So B2B had sent me his resume. He sent me things about data engineering and all those backgrounds. Now, my background is in cybersecurity and engineering, where I'm like, okay, cool. But at the same time, I know that I can't ask B2B very technically depth questions about his field that a real interviewer would be interviewing him for. So I would like to present that prerequisite or some of that front matter there before we kind of get into some of the interview. Is that cool with me?
It is. Now, Gabe, okay. I would like if you go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clip a lot of this and then put it up again as an upload.
Yeah.
So if you could you please introduce yourself to the audience again, and then we can kind of go straight into the interview if you want.
100%. Okay. Let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready.
So I'm introducing myself as I'm like the interviewer, right?
Yes.
All right. Well, welcome, William, to the interview. This is the final round of the interview. You have made it this far after going through the HR recruiter screening. You talked to some members of the team. And now we really want to have an interview to try to understand about you being a very good fit for the team. We have several candidates in the pipeline for this role, and I'm happy that you're here. So let's just jump right here into the interview. First question I have for you is, what makes you interested in the tech firm that you're interviewing for? Like, what has brought your interest to our firm?
All right. Thank you for that question. And the reason why I applied for this position is I have been seeing so many great things about this company. I saw that you all were in the Gartner report for the Magic Quadrant. I saw that in the news that you all were offering a lot of different tuition reimbursements for your company as well. So I really appreciated the benefits that you all provide as well. In addition to that, I think it will be a great way for me to grow in my own career as well and get some more experience with consulting.
Okay.
With that, I think that I have a lot that I can provide as well.
Okay.
to the industry, to your
Okay.
industry specifically.
Yeah, thank you for that. And hopefully you don't mind. I'll be taking notes as we're going through the interview to gain a better understanding and kind of jot down some of my thoughts about some of your answers.
Yes, and also,
Um,
can I ask if
yep,
I can take notes as well?
absolutely. Absolutely. Feel
Perfect.
free.
Thank you.
Um, because and I think that you taking notes is very important because I think that the way that I look at interviews is that we're not only interviewing you as a potential candidate for this role, but you're also interviewing us, right? And we're looking for more of an invested interest here. You're interviewing us to see if this is somewhere where you would like to work. And at the end of the interview, you'll be able to ask me questions about anything additional that we might not have covered. How does that work?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, sweet. Now, this role is for a leadership role for data engineers. I know that you have been an individual contributor through a good amount of your career, but now we want someone to come in to be able to lead a team of data engineers into our data engineering professional services. So, have you had experience leading a group or have led out in a group, even if you haven't been a manager in past roles? And if you have, give me some information about it.
Yes, I have. So, it, to add on to that, I have been in a leadership role for
Mm-hmm.
my company, Ronstadt. And with that, I have been working for the product Explore. It's an internal product that
Mm-hmm.
I am on the leadership team with. There's only three data engineers for this particular product, and I
Mm-hmm.
am the lead data engineer for that particular product. I may be considered an individual contributor, but I do help with the business analysts to be able to curate a lot of the work and be able to delegate that to the other data engineers as well.
Okay. Okay, that works. As a leader or as you have been a lead in those particular roles, what are some metrics or some measures of success that you've seen in those roles? Have you had good retention for people that you've led? Have you taught individuals particular disciplines within data engineering, or have it has it resulted in some type of cost savings within your role? Tell me more about that. Some metrics behind your leadership within that role.
I Let me ask you one more time. So, can you repeat
Mm-hmm.
the first one that you said? I got the. You asked me, have I taught them any disciplines within this role
Mm-hmm.
and or any cost savings? What was the first one that you asked?
So I was saying like retention, right?
Retention.
So I guess I'm just looking at what were some evidences of success within your leadership role. And I was just giving a couple of examples there, like, hey, have
Right.
people been retained in that role? Have individuals learned more from you, or have it resulted in some type of cost savings or some cost benefit?
Yes. So I'll
Talk to me
go
a little
through.
bit about that.
Yes,
Yep.
I will go through all three of them. So
Mm-hmm.
all the three that you listed, which is the retention, we have currently not lost any of the data engineers since I joined with the team. What
Mm-hmm.
I try to do is I create a lot of onboarding documentation.
Okay.
So not only am I trying to be able to help new data engineers come into our team and then be able to be successful within their role, I will do presentations that we will use for documentation, and then it also will help them to learn, or I'm teaching them more about the organization and also the team as well. I have
Mm-hmm.
done, I have also helped out with a lot of the technical debt items that we may have to improve our cost savings
Okay.
with
Yeah.
that, because you may have a project that may be going on for a long period of time, and I will work with the other data
Mm-hmm.
engineers as well to be able to maybe archive some data tables or be able to save costs as much as we can. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that is
Okay.
um, to answer your question. That is what I would do.
Yeah, I think that some of those are very positive things as it concerns being a leader, especially creating that onboarding documentation. Many times in consulting, we're always hiring people in. So having a set of onboarding documents or somewhere where new employees can go in order to know or in order to get up to speed faster. That's something that is a big need within our team.
Okay.
And definitely the retention purposes too. And I'm seeing another my esteemed colleague is asking a question about something a little bit more technical. Let's ask about this. What is your experience with data lakes?
Yeah. So primarily, I work with them every single day. Um,
Okay.
so particularly, what we use for our data lakes is we use several different products such as
Hmm.
Oracle um,
Okay.
database, SQL database, and then also Microsoft SQL Server.
Okay.
And
Yep.
you may hear the words PeopleSoft or Data Mart.
Yeah.
So PeopleSoft is for the Oracle, Data Mart is for Microsoft SQL Server, and then also I use the data warehouse BigQuery in Google
Hmm.
Cloud. What we do with it is we use it for data modeling. So primarily moving that data from one place to the other, which is transforming it for ingesting the information, transforming it for the business per the requirements, and then delivering it to the specified locations, such as the business may ask for something, or we may
Hmm.
want to post that information on the UI for the Ronstadt USA website.
Okay. That works. That works. I'm seeing another question from Tim, the developer, another one of my esteemed colleagues. They mentioned Hadoop or Spark.
Right.
Um, are you familiar with those particular terms?
Yes. So when Tim the developer is saying Hadoop and Spark,
Hmm.
those are from the Apache,
Okay.
um, the collection of different big data tools,
Hmm.
and I primarily use them within the Google Cloud infrastructure. So
Yeah.
Spark which is processing a lot of the data that you may get. Google Cloud has another tool with a similar use case.
Hmm.
You can do a lot of the same things with some of the tools, such as a BigQuery. You can use it, and then Hadoop. You have Google Cloud Storage,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of the tools within the Apache infrastructure
Hmm.
that Google Cloud, AWS, and Azure all mimic or have similar use
Okay.
cases for.
Sweet. Sweet. That works. So, and this next question again is from one of my esteemed colleagues, but I want it to be in a way. So, one thing about consulting is that we're very much so customer facing, right? Whether it's an internal customer within the organization or an external customer who has hired us in to do technical work for them in some type of capacity. Say, for instance, I am one of your customers and present the answer to this question in the way very succinct, very straightforward, but definitely it's something that will be a very good representation of the organization that you're working for. So the question here is what is the difference between data lakes and data marts versus data warehouses? And then what is your familiarity with the star scheme? And just again within the context of saying I'm your customer and I don't have any knowledge of these concepts or these ideas. Feel free to maybe digest the question and then give me more of a customer facing type of answer to it.
Okay, let me write down. So
Sure.
you said that. So you have a two-part question, which is
Hmm.
the
And it's in
difference
the chat as
between
well.
a. Okay, yes. So
Hmm.
yeah, the difference between a data warehouse, a data mart, and a data lake. So
Hmm.
that's essentially what you're asking for the first one, and then the
Yes.
second one is the star schema.
Hmm.
Okay, let me answer your first question. So the first question is a data warehouse such as a BigQuery, which
Hmm.
is a structure. It's already like pre-processed, structured format data. So
Okay.
something that you can read, and then a data lake is unstructured data. So something that
Mm.
you can't really sit there and read it in the same way that you can do analysis within a data warehouse. Um,
Okay.
they do store the
Hmm.
data, and The data mart, I don't know the exact specifics. I believe it depends on a certain use case to use a data mart, but I'm not for sure about the specifics of a data mart, the differences
Got
between
it.
it.
So a data lake is unstructured data. A data warehouse is structured data that can be
Right.
read, and data mart is something else.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I'm not exactly certain of the
Sure.
definition of a data mart. I've
Yep.
worked with data lakes and data warehouses, but
Okay.
yeah. So uh, and then your second question, the star schema, is
Mm-hmm.
that? Now I have never worked with the star schema. I do know that
Yeah.
that is relating to relational databases.
Okay.
So yeah, I can let you know that about the star schema. I
Definitely that
believe
works.
that.
And I think. Oh,
Okay,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, I believe that's the two questions that you
Yeah.
had.
Yeah. No, definitely. And kind of just a little pause in the interview. I think that one thing that's really good about these interview questions, right? Because I don't know the answers to any of these at all. But I think that at times we don't always know the answers during interviews. We definitely don't. I know there's been plenty of times where I have not known answers to particular questions, even technical questions. And I think that that's a lot of times the opportunity for you to say, hey, um, I'm not familiar with that concept, but I'm definitely willing to learn. So at times I might ask the interviewer for a little bit more context around what that concept is. Or I might even say, hey, I need to do a little bit more research about that concept, and I can definitely get back to you via email. So then I'll follow that up by saying, hey, in an email, thank you. Like it'll be like my thank you for helping me to interview. Thank you for interviewing me. And I did a little bit more research on that, in this case, the data mart concept. And I found out all these different things. Thank you for presenting that question for me in order for me to learn more. So, not knowing an answer right off the rip is not a negative. It's really an opportunity. So
Yeah, and
I would
going
definitely
back
say
to
that because
that,
I don't know anything.
right? Going back to that data mart question, is
Yeah.
that when I said earlier about the Microsoft SQL Server and using the
Mm-hmm.
data mart, I believe that's just the name of it per se, but
Yeah.
I think that data mart. I'm not sure. I'm not certain of the particular difference between that and a data warehouse.
Yeah. And I don't know. So I don't know. PBO, you threw that question out there, so feel free to throw it in there in that in the chat if you know the answer for sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Um. Now we can continue. And Ramil trying to be funny. No, it's not. The thing about these interviews, Ramil, is that people don't always know the answers to everything. People do not know all the answers. I know I don't. There's been plenty of times where I haven't known. So it's really just what you do when you don't know. So now the next one is about Tim the developer. He has a question. He
Mm.
says to talk about a time where a team member made a mistake in the data pipeline. How was the mistake identified, and which method of training was done to prevent future mistakes?
Right.
Yep.
So with this question, I recently had a situation like this.
Hmm. Okay.
So I want to say that my team member, it wasn't a mistake in the sense of a miscommunication between different teams.
Hmm.
So what was going on is a team member of mine was working on a particular project, and they're kind of in a silo. And this is one of the issues that I think every developer may run into. They're
Hmm.
working on their particular product, and they say, okay, well, hey, I'm going to follow the business requirement, which is switching from one indices to another within our
Hmm.
NoSQL database. This was something that
Okay.
had been planned already, and it was already brought up by the business.
Mm.
Then, by making that change, it wasn't like he didn't let people know that he was making the change, but he made
Hmm.
that change and it affected a completely different product on a different team. And
Mm.
because that other team used that information and that data in that NoSQL database, and they needed to say, "Hey, wait, what's going on? What broke?" It was that switch that was a pre-planned thing. So
Mm.
with that, I listened to that question. We ended up solving the issue by switching the alias back to the original indices,
Mm-hmm.
or the index, and so that problem was solved. And then we did a later release to go ahead and make the change that he initially wanted to make, but everybody was on the same page after changing some
Gotcha.
code. And what we did was we discussed the dependencies between different teams.
Mm-hmm.
So I created a presentation. I said, hey, this product may affect this other product in
Mm.
this way because we're dependent on them. So that
Who did
is,
you present that information to?
I
Was it to
presented
leadership or? Mm-hmm.
I presented that information to leadership, so senior level
Mm-hmm.
leadership. I even went up to the C level executive level, so
Mm.
senior VPs, CTO, and then
Okay.
also the different teams that were involved. So
Mm.
for the different products, all of them have access to that presentation and also
Yeah.
attended the presentation. Particularly for our developers, and then also for our business analysts, they may be creating that work as well.
I see. I see. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for that. And how about that team member? Like, what happened to that team member after they made the mistake? How did you, I guess, relate or communicate that they had made this mistake for this particular issue?
Well, it wasn't me who made the communication.
Okay.
It was our director. But
Oh, yeah.
yeah, so our
Hmm.
director let them know, like, hey, something was
Hmm.
wrong, because they reached out to him since he's the
Right.
face of the team. But
But you took it up upon yourself in order to make sure that it was resolved and
right.
present. Gotcha.
Yeah, so
Gotcha.
it was brought up within our team meeting. I thought it
Hmm.
would be a good idea. I brought it up to my director as well. I thought it would be a good
Hmm.
idea for us to try to break down some of those silos that we have
Yeah.
between teams, so that way we all know. In
Yeah.
addition to some more documentation or those presentations that we can use for
Hmm.
onboarding.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Those are things that we're definitely looking for in leaders, right? Even though the issue might not be something that you caused or something that might not even necessarily involve you, you found it upon yourself to pick it up and to lead out in the charge to make sure that this issue doesn't occur again, almost like a lessons learned. So definitely awesome, awesome. And even speaking more about the leadership piece, maybe even not so much more of like the technical aspects of data science and data engineering, but more of like how do you stay abreast of what's happening within your field? You go to conferences? Do you contribute to blogs? Do you post things about what's happening in the field? Because a lot of times we do want our leaders to have a good understanding of the industry so that they can communicate it to more junior members of the team. How do you stay abreast of what's happening within data science and data engineering?
Yes. So in addition to reading articles, I read articles pretty much daily, relating
Okay.
to the industry, what's going on with the new trends, and then
Yeah.
also I just found out that you can get a free membership to LinkedIn Learning
Okay.
through being a Fulton County, in Georgia, in Atlanta, Georgia, being a
Mm-hmm.
Fulton County resident, by getting a library card. I got a library
Mm.
card, and I like going on LinkedIn Learning to just kind of figure out, okay, what in data engineering is new, such as
Mm-hmm.
data visualization tools, such as like the Tableau, or
Mm-hmm.
other cloud services such as a Snowflake, a AWS, or a Azure, which
Mm-hmm.
I may not primarily use within my current role, but
Right.
I'm interested in it, so I want to go ahead and look into those tools. In addition to
Awesome.
that, I do attend quite a lot of networking events, and
Okay.
I am thankful that I'm a part of an organization called Technologists of Color, which
Okay.
does give me a lot of different options of going to different uh, tech events. I actually recently went to the Cybersecurity Summit here in Atlanta, Georgia, in
Okay.
Buckhead,
Nice. Yeah.
and that was a great way of me seeing a lot more cybersecurity. And they had a lot of different talks and upskilling. And then
Mm-hmm.
also I went to SQL Saturday, which is talking
SQL
about data
Saturday. Okay.
visualization for with Power BI.
Okay.
So
Sweet.
yeah,
Sweet.
does answer
Awesome.
your question.
Awesome. That definitely answers my question. And now I do want to provide you with the opportunity for you to ask questions. Do you have any questions for me as the interviewer? I think that we went over several things about your experience, your background, with the technical issues that you've come in happen in your environment, but also I'm able to better understand some of your leadership aspects as well. When there were issues, you were able to take things up on yourself, and you were able to kind of lead the charge in that. You kind of explained some things as it concerns internal or external customers, what that looked like, and understand and explain some concepts to me. And also, seems like you're staying abreast of what's happening within your tech field or your tech niche. So yeah, I think I have plenty of information here in order for me to take back to the hiring manager or to the rest of the hiring team. Do you have any questions for me? I
Yes,
don't
I
know how
do.
much I'll be able to answer them, but do you have any questions for me?
I do have
Yeah.
some more questions. Earlier in
Okay.
our
Okay.
conversation, you discussed
Oh.
how one of the things that you were looking for in consulting, and it may just be one of the things about the industry, but it is
Mm-hmm.
retention.
Mm-hmm.
Can you kind of give me some more information of, okay, how in your organization do you work with onboarding and retaining a lot of your talent?
Mm-hmm. So definitely onboarding is a biggie, right? When people are newly coming into an organization, a lot of times they're just trying to pick up from where everybody else is. I know that even recently we had someone who recently joined our org, and they were just saying that they felt behind. So having kind of what you were talking about, creating onboarding documentation, things that they can follow to really understand how can they get up to speed with the rest of the team, that made them very much more comfortable within a team environment, but it also helped them to be more productive and being able to understand, hey, these are my priorities, these are the areas that I need to focus in on. So that's a biggie as it concerns retaining folks. Because if people come in and they feel like they're lost, then they're more willing to leave somewhere else, leave to go somewhere else.
Right.
Um, I think another thing to help with retention is also giving competitive salaries. Right, this market, the tech market, is booming at times, especially as it concerns compensation. So, offering base salaries, competitive bonuses. Our human resource team, they do plenty of market research as it concerns what are some of the most competitive salaries out there, even compared to some of our competitors, right? So that's one thing that we focused in on heavily. And also we try to look at giving people kind of bonuses that aligns with their set priorities and what they were able to accomplish for the org. So that's kind of some of the onboarding and retaining. I think also trainings. Training is a big one too. We offer a wide range of trainings. I think some people are mentioning some there like CBT Nuggets, Pluralsight, but even with vendors, right? With GCP and AWS and Azure, you name it, we kind of offer world-class training and also just opportunities to lead and to move up within an organization. That's another thing. Promotions are regular within our field. So if you're performing, if you're doing what you need to do, if you're meeting your priorities, at times if you're going above and beyond, promotion should be expected in many cases based upon how the market is going. I know I gave you a lot there, but do you have any questions about any of what I just mentioned?
I do,
Okay.
particularly on how I do well in this role. Because when you
Mm-hmm.
say going above and beyond, what does success look like in this role? So that way, I can
Mm-hmm.
then grow within within this position.
100%. 100%. A lot of times that is very much so based upon you and the group that you're placed in. One, the group. The group has a strategic vision that comes from the directors and the above leaders for that org. So within the data science group, there's a I don't know, data science director, and that data science director reports to a VP who eventually reports to the CEO and the C-suite of our organization. That director sets a vision and a strategic guidance for your particular group. So I think that a lot of times when you first come into our org, it's very good to get acclimated with the strategic vision for the group that you're in. That might look like gaining more customers within a particular industry. That might look like some of what you mentioned, developing a lot of the internal documentation, internal delivery structure, so that we can have a very consistent delivery strategy across the organization that you're in. It might even include things like innovation. They might look for different innovations, you contributing to different innovations within your market. So I think the first thing there is to definitely get acclimated with the strategic vision that comes from the director of your org.
Okay. With that, I know that you're in the consulting space and you
Mm-hmm.
may have many different clients that you work with. What are some of the biggest clients that you may work with at the organization?
Mm-hmm. Who did you? What was the last fast food place that you've been to?
It's been a minute.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Chipotle.
Probably them. How about
Right.
the last airline that you've been on?
Delta.
Them. How about the last
Right.
hospital you? How about the last hospital you visited?
Piedmont. Piedmont Healthcare.
Probably their parent company. All right. We deal with the top boys. We deal with the big guys in this world. All right. So this is this is where we play. These are our customers. If you can think of the ones that whoever had a Super Bowl commercial, we're probably working with them in some capacity within their tech field. So them play with the big boys. All right.
Right.
You have any other questions for her?
I do.
All
Uh,
right.
so, so particularly, how do you recognize
Mm-hmm.
um, like different achievements? Do you give anything as far as a reward system
Mm-hmm.
for these for being successful in your role? Do you
Yeah.
recognize success in your organization?
I mentioned a couple earlier in the form of compensation, right? One of the ones is definitely an annual bonus. We get an annual bonus, and it's based upon the level that you're on. It can range anywhere between 10% of your base salary to anywhere maybe 20 to 25% of your base salary, based upon how you perform at your particular level. Another one that we offer is that promotions. As teams grow, as teams expand, you are able to jump higher within the leadership role. So here you will be in a leadership role, but you can go into manager, senior manager, where you have access to even higher levels of compensation for bonuses and base salary increases. So in many cases, your total compensation is directly affected by your performance. Another one is just like things that are just regular, like the benefits. You get access to any training that you can possibly think of for free, right? That doesn't even come with anything as it concerns you being awarded anything. That just comes from day one. Um, Let me see what else. We have internal kind of point systems where you might be able to get. I know last year I was able to get several points that I was able to buy a stroller with the amount of points that I got based upon performance. And other employees had awarded me different points for things that I've done for them. So things like that. We have some internal things that also has some points, but the primary way is that bonus and base salary increase based upon your annual performance.
Right. Okay.
Hopefully that
Uh,
makes sense.
it does.
I'm
Um,
trying. I'm trying. Yeah.
right. I know this is a consulting role, and
Hmm.
I saw on the job description that it is a hybrid position.
Hmm.
How much travel do you foresee for this particular role?
It all depends on the customer. So there's many customers, especially within the field that you're in. So it'll be fintech, right? So fintech, data engineering for fintech. Many of these customers want to save more and more on travel, lodging, and food for our consultants. So most of this will be remote work. You'll be gaining the customer can send everything over some secure file sharing mechanism. You are able to process and assess and formulate and normalize data on your machines at home. So the majority of it, I believe, will be remote, is what we've seen from how our customers have been. But there is opportunity to travel in the event that that's a request from the customer. So it all depends on the customer, and that can fluctuate, right? So there's no way to say 100%, but at the most, we'll say probably around 20, 15, 10 to 15% max at
Okay.
the moment. Yep.
And one last question for you.
Hmm.
In this role, what is the day to day work going to be like, especially
Hmm.
since it's going to be working with potentially working with many different clients.
Right. So right now we have a pretty hefty pipeline, and that's one of the reasons why we're looking at bringing in a senior level leader like yourself, or senior level kind of individual contributor, but also leading teams for engagements. Right now, we have several customers where when you talk about the day to day, we have engagements that are about to kick off. They want us to be able to do some data engineering and data sciencey stuff for them coming up pretty soon. So typically Monday through Friday, it looks like you jumping on calls with the customer every day or every other day, trying to understand what some of this data is, having kickoff meetings, status updates. Even if you're not working with the customer from a day to day, you'll be working with your team from day to day. So you might have to jump into some of that project management / program management type of roles to try to understand status of how some of the more junior folk on your team are being able to assess the data that they have been provided. So day to day might look different, but it's typically a Monday through Friday. You having either some interaction with the customer directly, or you're having interaction with your team on set deliverables or status of analysis. And that typically is identified within what you call a SAL, or a statement of work. The statement of work will identify every single thing, whether it means like timeline of the engagement, deliverables that are expected, the time of the deliverables, and description of what the actual ask is that comes from the customer. So that's where you would get kind of your day to day at that moment. But that day to day would change based upon the different statement of works from the different customers. But that's kind of what I'm initially assuming. Does that answer your question, or do you want more information?
I do want to know a little bit more about some of the tools that you may use, particularly which cloud platform do you use at your organization? Or is it going to be different per the client?
I don't know. I don't know that one. I don't know. You got me. I don't know. I don't know that one.
Okay. All right. So
well, this has been a great interview.
Yeah.
We'll call you. No. No, I'm just joking. Go ahead.
No, well, I will say, in this, I primarily work with Google Cloud Platform.
Yeah.
And so I'm very familiar with them. But I am able to learn other cloud platforms as well, because they all have similar use cases. And like I said earlier in the interview, they have a lot of different tools similar to the Apache library of different products for big data specifically. So any of these cloud platforms I'm able to learn or be able to pick up pretty quickly, so I can hit the ground running.
Yeah. And the thing about it is that even if you don't know that particular cloud platform, we'll make sure to train you up in order to be ready to deliver for the customer. So, and that's one thing that's really good about consulting, is that you go from customer to customer to customer. You might be in different environments for each one of them. So you will get a wide range of experiences for sure.
All right. That sounds good. So
Indeed.
that is all of my questions. Did you have any more questions for me, or?
No, I'm done.
All right.
Whew.
So thank you, Gabe, for
Anytime,
interviewing me.
Anytime. Hopefully I did a good job. You did great.
Well, thank you. I appreciate
it. Did great for sure. So what you want to do now? You want to do like feedback or something?
Yeah, let's go through some feedback, because I know that when it got to the technical question that we got from Professor Black Ops, he asked that question about the difference between the data warehouse and the data lake as well. So with that question part specifically, it is he said the data warehouse, data mart, and data lake. The data warehouse is is used for analytics or analysis, and it's already pre-processed data that's in a structured format. So you already have your schema and everything set up. And then a data lake is where you just have raw, unstructured data, and then you could just store the data, and then you can process it later. Because unstructured data, you will have something like a JSON file. Well, JSON is structure, but let's say you have like a CSV file of some
Mm-hmm.
sort, or and you want to be able to, or you have a new line delimited JSON for of document, and then you want to
Mm-hmm.
be able to put that into like a data warehouse, like a BigQuery. You can do that,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll come in. Data warehouses have a good way of being able to structure that data so that way it can be put into different tables.
Right.
Particularly with BigQuery, I know they have a lot of different formats it can take in, such as a JSON file. It can take on Avro files, CSV files, even text files. I believe can be taken in by BigQuery.
Okay.
So
I'm learning here, so this is new to me.
right,
Mm-hmm.
and then data marts. I had to look it up. Data
Yeah.
marts. It says that a data mart is a data warehouse that serves the needs of a part of a specific business unit, like a company's
Mm-hmm.
finance, marketing, or sales department. So
Mm.
it is a data warehouse, but for that particular use case.
Let me tell you another thing that might be a little bit of a pro tip is that one thing that you want to do is that ask the whoever is interviewing or whoever is setting up the interview to ask the interviewer what are some concepts or what are some things that'll be focused on for this particular interview, right?
Mm.
Sometimes they'll say, hey, this is just a informal interview for them to get familiar with who you are. Then you know that it's not really going to get down into some of the technical depth here. But if there are certain things that the project, because the project, so the reason why job postings are put out there is because there is a particular business need, right? Especially technical business need. So they are hiring for you to do something specific. And the hiring manager knows what that is, and the HR representative also knows what that is to some degree. So ask them, what is this? What do I need to, I guess, ramp up on for this particular interview that would allow me to be successful in explaining what my experience is? So ask them before the interview. Ask whoever's setting it up before the interview, and that'll alleviate more of those surprises. Because I know I've had that experience. Is that like, oh, whoa, why is this about this? Well, they didn't tell you it was about this. No, they didn't tell me. Did you ask? No, I didn't ask. So yeah, man.
And usually, I think when you get to your level as a hiring
Mm-hmm.
manager, it won't get too technical. You're just
No,
trying to get to know the person at that point. I think.
no, no. I think that one thing that I don't like are super duper deep technical interviews because um sometimes those technical interviews is just it's just people recalling information rather than telling what their actual experience it is with that technology. Looking at, I typically try to focus on scenarios or things that they've done that I see on their resume because in order for them to get in front of like a hiring manager like myself, they have to already have the experience down packed on their resume. So I'll ask about those things as it relates to the need that we have for the role. So
Mhm.
that's typically where it is.
All right. Especially for
I'm not
a
saying I'm
senior
like the
level.
final boss or anything. I'm not the final boss of interviews or anything. But typically, if I'm interviewing, then they would have those foundational skills or foundational knowledge base. So why am I asking about, hey, what is networking? What is TCP UDP port 53 or right? Why am I asking that? Is it am I looking for a gotcha or am I really looking for your ability to or am I really looking for an understanding of your abilities?
Mhm.
And I think that those understandings come more from scenarios and things that you've done in comparison to exam questions.
Right.
So
And I
yeah.
believe that when you get to that point, speaking with the hiring
Mm-hmm.
manager, and I guess technically you are considered the final boss. Not only
I
are you a
guess.
boss, but you are the final interview, a final person you have to speak to. But
Yeah.
I understand that
Yeah.
that feedback has to go up a level as
It
well.
does.
So in order for them to kind of make the decision, but you can also give some
Right.
feedback like, hey, I know this is a good person.
Because the person who gets the budget to hire is typically like a director or above, maybe a senior manager, but the budget typically comes from the director, the person who is literally given the keys to the organization's kingdom. So
Right.
they're making the final decision typically.
Well,
but you're like the final pass, if that makes sense.
right, and every organization's structure is going to be different because
True,
I know in
true.
your organization it may be that it may be weird where it says a VP is lower than a director,
Right,
and in
right.
some companies it's like a director is lower than a VP.
That's
So
true.
it really
Here comes
just
the baby. Hold
okay.
on one second.
Okay.
Here, come on.
I'm gonna
Can
go
you
through
come
the
through,
chat
Quinn?
right quick.
Yep,
Um,
I'm here.
got my brother over
She's
here.
she's
Appreciate him
she
coming
she
in.
here too.
Right. Got another one on the
I
way
knew she was
too.
about to come busting in. I just heard them
Hey.
footsteps. No, but go ahead.
But yeah, so Xavier asked a question. He says, "Gabe, how does
Ooh.
a cybersecurity engineer with 3 years
Oh
of
shoot.
experience,
She pressed the button.
MS, uh huh,
Oh, sorry.
can you hear me?
She I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right. He said
Uh,
ask about cybersecurity something.
yeah, so Xavier asked, Gabe, how does a cybersecurity engineer with 3 years of experience,
Mm-hmm.
MSIS,
Oh my gosh.
Security Plus, CCNA, get a leadership role? So they have 3 years of experience and three different certifications.
Mm-hmm.
So the Cisco, the CompTIA, and I'm not certain of the MSIS. I've heard that acronym before, but I'm not sure. I think it's
So
Microsoft.
they have a master's in information security.
Oh,
The
Masters in
master's degree.
Information Security. Okay, so that's their
Or information systems.
degree. Okay.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to cut this short, man. She
Oh yeah,
just
I got you.
she doing it. All right, man. Thanks for having me, man. She 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 about to mess up my whole rig here.
I
And she
got you. Well, I do
all right, man.
appreciate you. I do appreciate
Sorry.
you, Gabe, for coming up. Um,
Yeah,
all
yeah.
right,
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
all
All
right,
right,
man.
chat.
All
All
right,
right,
you have a
peace.
good night.
Yep, yep.
All right, so Xavier, I wasn't able to get that question for you as far as how do you get a leadership role with all of that. So you already have, so you have a master's of information systems. You have the Security Plus and the CCNA. I believe that it depends on the organization and your team, uh, particularly with organizations. They want to have a allotted budget for those types of roles, and what I've heard is that you have a lot of competition with your colleagues. So when you are trying to get a leadership role, you have to compete with your colleagues to see, okay, who can actually fill this role. What I think goes on is they take into account the certifications and the master's degree and the experience that you have. And then they kind of put it up against other people, but then also what projects are you working on as well, and do you have any leadership qualities about you? Because just because somebody is well educated and has a lot of certifications does not mean that they're going to be a good leader. So they want to see some of those leadership qualities, such as what Gabe asked me earlier. Hey, we're looking for a lead data engineer. Do you create? Do you help with the retention of the team? Do you help teach any of the other data engineers in any other disciplines? And then do you help with any cost savings initiatives? So those are some things that he may be looking for a leadership role. So just based off of this interview that I did here, that may be some of the questions that you may need to ask yourself to get a leadership role. Maybe you need to start doing that, trying and make it a better case for your boss to be able to go to their boss to get the leadership role, because it tends to be that your boss may not be the decision maker of getting the promotions. It is the boss's boss who makes that decision. And then you also have it where you're competing with your team members, but then you also may be competing with outside parties as well for a leadership role. So hopefully that helps with your question on there. I know Gabe had to drop off. I know you were asking Gabe, but I do want to make sure that have a little bit more insight into it. Thank you so much, Keep It Techy, for tuning in. Appreciate you so much. I had him on the previous live stream as well. So shout out to Keep It Techy. Thank you so much. Please check out his channel as well as Gabe A on Struggle Security. Keep It Techy, Citizen Lou, and Professor Black Ops. We all go on to Struggle Security as well, and we talk about different trending topics within tech and also give our experiences as well. And also please go ahead and check out Professor Black Ops as well with his channel. I know Keep It Techy primarily talks about Linux, and also he does a lot of interviews as well. He has interviewed me on his channel. But in addition to that, we also have Professor Black Ops, who does he has his own course that he teaches people as an actual professor with over 20 plus years of experience within the industry. So he's a wealth of knowledge. I know that you guys would enjoy a lot of his content as well. He comes up with live streams, but also short form videos as well, related to cybersecurity. And then also he has his AWS course. So that's him there in the chat. Thank you so much, Tim, the developer, for tuning in. Thank you guys for appreciating the stream. Let's see. Tim, the developer, says, since all departments work in tandem, what are some security principles that can be expressed in data engineering to alleviate unnecessary headaches for the cybersecurity department? That is because we do have to work with the security teams. So as a data engineer, you do have to make sure, let's say a perfect example is if somebody is requesting for them to be unsubscribed from an email list, something as simple as that. I'm sure that everybody can understand, and has been through before. They have different regulations relating to people's information, such as I think it's CCPA as an example. And with that, if a person wants to be able to collect the data that you have taken of them, you have to be able to provide it to them. And then also, if somebody opts out or unsubscribes from your email list, then you also have to be able to make sure to take care of that as well, so that way they do not receive new notifications as well. So you have to be able to work with all of the teams just in case that you have some information about a particular person. With that, you have to work with not only all the teams, all the tools that you may use, and then also go into a database and provide that information to them. With that, you may be working with some PII data, and you want to make sure to either have some of that data masked, so that way not only can people not provide that information to other people, such as if you try to put a social security number in Google, it will try to mask it, and then also will alert the security team that, hey, somebody is trying to send an email with a social security number. But you also don't want a lot of the developers to be able to access that information as well. So either you can not have it available within within the database at all, so you have a protected database. But then you also will have it to where if there is a social security number or some other sort of PII data in there, it will be hashed, so that way people won't be able to read it. So those are some things that data engineers may work with in order to kind of appease a lot of the regulations, but then also to alleviate some of the headaches that the security team may come across. So making sure that people just don't have access to people's data, and also keep, and another thing, which is negligence. I know that that's another thing that a lot of companies want to avoid. You don't want to be negligent with your data, and you want to always keep like a backup. You want to keep redundancies of a database, so that way if let's say a table gets dropped or you lose data, you can go back and refresh your data, so that way you won't have to be liable for losing people's information. And then you also don't want to be giving out a whole bunch of other people's information as well, as you see in these data leaks. It is very expensive, but I know it changes per the company's industry that they're in. It's more expensive to lose people's healthcare data as opposed to it being like I believe financial data, right? So making sure you protect that information as well is another thing that we have to do. So that is he says, Xavier says, when's the next conference in Atlanta? The next conference is going to be, well, there's one on February the 23rd and 24th, which is called the I think it's called Rice. Let me see what it's called. But yeah, there is another conference coming up very soon. Let me see, conference. I want to make sure I give you the right name. February. Atlanta, Georgia. Yeah, that is. I can't give you the exact name. There is Render ATL coming up as well. So we have Render ATL. We have Dev Nexus as well as coming up. Those are the big ones in Atlanta that are coming up. But yeah, so I go to a lot of these different tech events. Like I'm going to the Capitol, the Georgia State Capitol, next week to a conference or like a tech demo day. So that is what I'm going to be going to next. Okay, so let's see who else is in the chat. Xavier asked another question. He says, what learning platform does this company provide? CBD Nuggets, Pluralsight. Okay, I think Gabe answered that, and he said a plethora of different learning platforms. Tim, the developer, says, appreciate this exercise. The notes keep you on point in the interview. Yes, it did. It does. I think that they appreciate when you bring up something else that they said earlier on in the interview. Professor Blackoff says, what's your NoSQL database of choice? I have worked with many of them. I'm not going to say which one we use, but I've worked with several NoSQL databases in my organization and also my previous position as well. So I will give just a few, which is MongoDB is a NoSQL database. There's also Elasticsearch, which is a NoSQL database. They even have a NoSQL database called CockroachDB, which I thought was pretty interesting. But yeah, there's a plethora of different NoSQL databases, and NoSQL standing for not only SQL. So some people think that NoSQL stands for no SQL at all, but it means not only SQL, meaning they have SQL statements for certain NoSQL databases, but they also have their own language as well. Primarily with the Elk stack, which is Elasticsearch, Kibana, and Logstash. You may work with Kibana, which is like the UI version of Elasticsearch. in order for you to be able to do analysis. And they have their language called KSQL. So you can use SQL and you can also use KSQL. All right. These mock interviews help me tremendously. Yes, I will agree. It's important. Shout out to the libraries providing access to LinkedIn Learning. Yes. Okay. Justin Williams asked the question: is data warehouse is data for multiple business units? Data mart is one specific business unit. Okay. Yeah, see, exactly. Yeah, I had to look it up too, man. Shout out to Citizen Lou. And we also got Titanium in the building. Okay. Well, if that's the case, I do appreciate everybody for tuning in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go and I'm going to leave this up, but I'm going to go and clip this and put it up as another upload, particularly just the interview portion, so that way you guys can rewatch it. You know, cause I know the live stream can be kind of long, and you don't want to kind of go through every single part of the interview and go through like an hour-long video. So I appreciate every single one of you guys for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next live stream. I want to give a huge shout out to Gabe A. Thank you so much, Gabe, for lending your expertise as a hiring manager. And also, we want to be able to help out all of the people who are watching this live stream, and also the people who are watching the replay. I really appreciate every single one of you guys for tuning in. I could not be here if it was not for you all supporting and helping guide me through this journey. So I want to give a huge shout out to everybody. Please go ahead and check out the link in the description for the Discord link if you want to be able to speak with me or anybody else within the BTB squad. I really would appreciate that. I've actually met some of the people in the BTB squad networking chat within the Discord, and I want to just say, like, everybody's been really cool. Getting a lot of great feedback. We have some great conversations in there. I'm planning on having some more office hours, so that way, if you want to be able to get more questions from me or anybody else, you can click the link and then be able to sign up for the office hours. So that way you can kind of set up a networking session with me or anybody else. With that, have the BeforeTheBillions.com as well in the description. And yeah, with that, please go ahead and like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And also hit that bell notification icon if you want to be notified whenever I make new videos on YouTube. I will see you all in the next video. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with me.